Quilt Path working on an all-over feather pattern. It's called Enchanted Feathers. They're basically nested, continuous pattern. It's a very even pattern. I'm doing a little test with the new software. The updated software warns you when it breaks the thread and stops. It also makes sure the needle is always up before it moves. And I did not want to use a customer's quilt to test it, so I put this piece of cloth on that I like. The fabric is two pieces of fabric sewn together, and the back is the same way. got a lot of different patchworky look to it, and I like it. So this is really a reversible quilt. I thought I'd step behind the machine and show you a little bit of how it's configured. There's some cords coming back, the tablet's on the top, and these are some of the cords that come out of it that I haven't secured down, but you can see it's got quite a bit of cords on the floor. And yet you need them to be loose enough that they can come across your table. And I have the new bliss system, which is on these rods, and it glides real well. You can sort of see maybe a pulley system down there below the machine. There's a carriage, and it has a pulley system on it. There's some encoders that run the machine, tell it digitally where to move, and I don't know, motors that do the same thing, pull it around. It's a nice setup. Looks like it's getting down near the end of its feathers for this row. My hope is that it won't stitch off the right edge. As it gets over to this area, it will stitch where I want it to. I told it the width. Starting the last of the pattern. I think that this pattern I redid today actually is much better than the pattern I had constructed yesterday. I looked at how I put it together, and I did not rotate everything this time. I didn't try to do too much to it. I just sized it, you know. See a thread here. I want to move out of the way just so it doesn't catch on it over there. of room. I'm just looking at the feathers and everything. I think we're going to have just about the right spacing too with the top feathers. You can see the spacing is about like that between rows, and that's okay with me. About done. So we're 96% done with the pattern. We have about 5 more feathers to do here. There, and then it's going to come back, trace, do one last feather right there. Voila, it's finished. And it's definitely finished and ready to go to the next row. You notice also my row has turned back to normal, so it's ready for placement. What I'm going to do now is cut my bottom thread with this thread cutter, and when it moves, be ready with my little clips, which are down here, so I can clip it about 4 or 5 inches as it moves. So I say finish row, proceed to next row, and it says it's timed out, and that's okay to get that. It's because I've been waiting a while. So now it says finish row, proceed to next row. So I'm going to hit that again. And it says the pattern's not in the safe zone. Well, that's true. The fabric will need to be scrolled. So I'm going to say okay. And now I'm given a choice of moving to the top center, which is the one I really want to use. And when I say that, it's going to be on, I've got the pattern showing up over here on the left. It's going to be on the 3rd row, which is correct. So all I have to do is say move to top center, and it will move to the top center. Then as it moves, I will clip my thread. So I'm going to touch that and be ready. Started moving. I'll show you. I'm going to give it about 6, and I cut it. And that leaves me with a good tail. And it's just moving. It's not going to sew or anything. And what I do is I have a piece of tape over here with a hole in it. And I'm going to put that under the needle for placement. Doesn't matter what orientation, but just right there. I'm going to show you. Maybe I can show you the tape. See the hole is underneath the needle. Okay, and then I just smooth down the tape. And if you want, you can lower the needle to check it, but that's close enough for me. Now when I've done that, I've moved to the top center, I can say continue with placement. Have you marked the fabric and are you ready to proceed? Yes. Now it's waiting for me to roll my quilt sandwich. The reason I can tell that is it's kind of pink area and it looks all clipped, the pattern does. And right now, see with the position where it is, it's reminding me to roll my fabric. So I just remove my clamps on both ends. Loosen the brake. Notice the quilt went a little slack. And I just basically roll the quilt. And I have a fabric advance over here and a petal down here. So I just press the green petal. And what I'm really looking for is the green tape there to not be too close to that bar. But close enough. And that's about right. As I pull it backward, it will pull it forward toward me. So I'm just going to put some tension onto this first rod here. And I do that by holding on to it and pulling it toward me. Then I lean my hip against it and put the brake on it. Now when I come along and pull the fabric and the batting, just to give it a firm tug, and smooth it down, I'm ready to go again. I always like to check it though as I roll it, because there's sometimes just a little I'm feeling underneath the quilt now for any kind of blobs or something, a batting, a fold in the batting. So normally a pieced quilt will have a lot of work like this to get it to lay flat, but something whole cloth usually doesn't have much like this. Okay, so I want you to see that I've just cut the batting right at the edge of the quilt. And since this is just a test, that's okay, but normally you need your batting just a little bit bigger than the quilt. This isn't going to have any problem at all, because that's, and I even have the top and the back about the same size on this, but that's not a good idea either. And you can sort of see that it's a beautiful top or back. Okay. So we're ready to go again. So now we're ready to do the placement. And I can stitch the edges down. At this point I usually base the edges down. So this is the basting line. And I need my clippers just a minute. I notice we've got a little bit of thread tangling there. So all I do is push the needle down once, fiddle it up, and then move to the side, pull up the bobbin. There's the bobbin. Go back to that same area. Do a needle down, needle up. And now we'll start basting. Basting just moves approximately a half an inch or so. Needle down, needle up. It's a very simple affair. You can hold the needle down, but you sort of have to be fast with it. And this is a minor thing to have to do, and I only do this to keep the quilt sandwich cohesive, since that's the way I was taught. I do a few little tacking stitches there, and then I'd use my thread cutter and I pull it a little bit, 4 or 5 inches, and clip it. Alright, now I've secured the one edge. I go over and do the other edge. And I do all this before I actually do the placement of the block. And the reason is, as you work, you're going to have the carriage not as free as right now. So the carriage is very free right now. So either one of these buttons on either handle is just a simple handle with a rocker switch on it. So if I rock it up with my thumb, the needle goes down. So let's put it here, and I just pushed on it, the needle's down. So now I pull it up by tapping it again, and I'm just trying to get the bobbin thread up, and it shouldn't be doing that, so we're going to cut it again. Yeah, okay. Now we'll just go back in that same area, and I'll hold on to both of those, and then we'll just start basting. And this basting is going about the same, approximately ½ inch. Now I'm going to cut the thread. Try to get the check it. Yep, I cut the thread. Now I'm going to place it over the hull and hit the middle button for placement, that one right there. You can now see that it's in the white area, and it's going to stitch it again. So we're ready. I put my clamps back on now, and I might have to reposition it one more time, but that's because when you don't have your clamps on and then you put your clamps on, it will move the fabric just a little bit. The whole quilt sandwich moves, and mostly around the edges, but let's give it one last smooth over, because that affects the whole quilt too, and maybe just a little tightening. Okay, now we're going to try one more time. I'll find that hole. There it is. And I will just touch that, and it moved up slightly. Okay, so we're ready. I'm going to take the tape. Well, we can peel it off later. Just hit sew. Should start. Sorry about that. Then I remove the tape. We don't need the tape sewn in. What it's going to do is move over Hi. Come on in. I'm at the beginning of this pattern again, the third row, and all I do is hit sew, and it should sew just fine with this pattern. It's just the Enchanted Feathers, and it's a continuous pattern. I've placed it just prior to this so it knows where to stitch, and I'll just hit sew and we'll watch it go. Aha! Broken thread. Well, it's probably time to change the needle, and so I'm going to do that.